I also feel a lot of people who come up to me and they're like, we are very passionate about, opening a restaurant. We have X number of money and koi bhi concept khol do, bas restaurant chala do. I'm like, it doesn't happen like this, I mean, there is a certain science to running restaurants.
See, a lot of people, like when they get out of college or they want to quit a job, they say, yaar, restaurant kholna hai mujhe.
They think that's easy.
And I was like, dude, that's the hardest business ever made. There's so much more to it. So when we thought we will do this, you were the top of the list. Kicha, we have to get her on the show.
But why? I want to know that. Most wanted chef? Why?
Most wanted chef.
Why?
I mean, of course. Why do you mean? What do you mean? Why?
Yeah, I want to ask Mayur because he has been chasing me.
He has been.
And he's like, you have to do the podcast. I said, I would love to come for the podcast, but when? That conversation's been happening for like a couple of months.
Yeah.
Because I've been traveling, he's been traveling, you've been traveling.
Yeah. So we finally found a date. Thank you so much.
Very happy to be here.
So my first thing I want to know from you, how is it like to be a celebrity chef? Do people ask you to cook food every time you visit their homes?
Firstly, celebrity chef is such a... I don't call myself a celebrity chef.
I would call you that. The audience would call you that.
Yes, I know some people do. I take that very well and I'm like, thank you. But I think at the end of the day, I'm a chef, I'm a cook. Hindi mein jisko bawarchi kehte hain. I love my food. I think about food the whole day. I probably have dreams also. There are times when I wake up and tell my husband कि मेरे को ये सपना आया था कि हम यहाँ पे थे, हम ये खा रहे हैं. He's like, can you think about something other than food? So I live, breathe, cook, eat food. And for me, it's pure passion, which I found very early on in my life, which I'm very happy because you have to be very lucky, touchwood, to know what you want to do from a very young age. So by the time I was 10, I was already, behind my mother, ki mujhe to khana hi banana. And she was also like pretty unsure first, ki, are you sure you want to get into the industry? Because it's not easy. Mm-hmm. It just so happened that she saw that I was very focused. She saw that I really wanted to be in the kitchen. And she was the one who identified it when I was about 10, 11 years old. So started doing that, and for me still today, I mean, कोई भी बोलता है कि ये बना दो, अगर मेरे पास kitchen है और ingredients हैं, मैं बना दूँगी. Even though the term celebrity chef I still feel is a little new, and I don't call myself that. I call myself a chef and an author. किताब लिखी है, खाना बनाना आता है. I'm very happy, doing that, and I love restaurants because there's a certain thrill that you get. It's chaotic, it's busy, it's madness. टांगों में बहुत दर्द होती है. But it, the kind of happiness that I get when I cook in a kitchen, when I'm doing my pop-ups, I'm doing my events, I'm doing demos. It's just, that happiness is unparalleled, and, it's something that I love. So chef ho ya celebrity chef, I'm happy with whatever term is used.
So what really gives you the kicks when you do this?
Oh, honestly, people in the industry, in the restaurant industry, have to be a little crazy to do what they do every day.
Of course.
It's not a job where you can sit on your desk comfortably, have no issues. आप कोई kitchen में घुसते हो, you enter the restaurant and you're like, ये light नहीं जल रही, ये आया नहीं है काम पे, this ingredient is not available, this dish is not there.
Chaos, yes. Total chaos.
It's firefighting. You're a firefighter. Yes. And, in hotel school, we're actually taught ki you're there to find solutions. So, you have to be crazy to, be a restaurateur, to be a chef, to, to be in this industry day in and day out. Mm-hmm. But it's a different level of high, honestly. Like, for me, it's like music. There are times when I enter a restaurant, the sound of the cutlery, the sound of the guy opening the kitchen door, orders being taken, the music in the background, the cocktail shaking, all of that put together is music to my ears. The happiness that I get, even if it's not my own restaurant, if it's someone else's restaurant also, dekh ke khushi ho jati hai ki, you're doing so well. I'm so happy that your restaurant's packed. Mm-hmm. People are loving the food. They're having their own conversations. There's so many little beautiful moments that are happening in a busy restaurant, which, you sometimes miss. That really gives me
very cool
pure happiness.
Very cool.
Yes.
And curious questions, huh? Few of them.
हाँ बहुत सारे questions पूछ रहे हैं आप मेरे से तो.
What is the best and the worst feedback that you have ever gotten on your cooking?
On
or your
Zomato, are you saying?
anything on Zomato. That's a
On
different
Zomato,
story,
okay, no.
But you get the more
We get a
real
lot
ones
of
in person,
feedback.
right?
Yes, we get a
in
lot of
person.
feedback from customers directly. Sometimes it can be very aggressive. कि मतलब ये क्या बना दिया है, हमें तो ये चाहिए था. There was a time that one guest walked into the restaurant and he said कि I'm ordering this, तो सब कुछ order करा, everything came onto the table and then he was like, but ये तो बटर चिकन नहीं है, या तो ये तो इसमें मसाला है नहीं. And I went onto the table and I said, sir, this is a Parsi dish, you know. And he was like, मेरे को तो नहीं, you know, ये नहीं खाना. Because the customer at that point of time was not aware and what he wanted was not matching to the expectation of what he'd ordered. So you understand at that moment and then you do some amount of service recovery. So you take back the dish and you'll tell him ki whatever you want, I'll make that for you. And then, you know, you make it and you give it to, you know, the guests. So there have been times that people get a little aggressive because they don't know what they've ordered, and when they order it, it's not up to the expectation or what they had thought of. Acha hoga, but it's not something that they wanted to eat.
Acha is also a very person-to-person thing, right?
Exactly. So like if I like something, you might not like it. So you won't choose it on the menu. But if you're a little doubtful, that's why we always put descriptions on the menu. I feel it helps. Pictures on the menu help even more. So yeah, there have been times that guests have thrown tantrums. They've said, you know, we did not like this, or it was not up to our liking, or it did not match our thinking. And at the same time, there have been people who've, you know, come and celebrated their most personal moments with us. You know, it could be a proposal, it could be, you know, celebrating with their parents, or their families come from abroad and they've got them over, or it's their favorite place to come and just have a cup of tea and a bun maska. I think those moments are beautiful. So we get a lot of good feedback that, you know, it's got a great vibe, the place, and we always want to come back for the food. So yeah, we get all sorts of comments. And you just have to deal with them. कि ये नहीं है कि बुरा comment बोल दिया तो now your day is over. You just fix it. You give them a dessert. You make sure that they are comfortable. You make sure that they like the next dish that they ordered. Hopefully,
So
अगली बार आ
do you
जाएंगे.
also get into the service part of things or stay at the food part of the house?
For me, I was in both places. So my role was a chef manager. So I always make sure that I had a connection with the guests as well. And somehow, जब guest chef से बात करता है, automatically they start feeling a lot more comfortable, taken care of. They understand. And there are restaurants today that are chef driven. So you have to be someone who connects with the audience directly. It could be my BTS on, you know, Instagram, or it could be a recipe that I shared and someone who's followed it, or वो आके वहाँ पे उनको खाना है. So there's always a connect. So it's always good for the chef to be involved in the front of the house, which actually was not the case maybe about 15-20 years ago. The chef was always behind the kitchen, behind the door, never really in front. But we've seen in the last 15 years, change हो गया है. जो पुरानी hierarchy होती थी chefs की, कि उनको बस kitchen के पीछे ही रखना है, it's all changed now, because now people want to know directly from the chef. They want to go to places that are chef owned or chef partnered or chef driven, because they feel like the chef is more involved in the entire business, not just, you know, the kitchen. Even though I love the kitchen part more than the business, because business takes too much time and the creativity kind of gets lost in the kitchen.
Absolutely. And I think it is also important for the chef to go to meet the customers to see how they are reacting to their
Exactly.
food, so that you can learn and become better and change
Absolutely,
what it means. So
absolutely.
if you're not really meeting your customers, then you
wouldn't
never
know. And sometimes it gets lost in translation.
Second-hand
So
information doesn't work most of the time.
कभी कभार गड़बड़ हो सकती है. So yeah, that happens. I'm sure you know that.
Yes.
Yourself.
Yes. And best feedbacks. What has been like, wow, this makes this entire choice.
So there have
worth it.
been times that people have come, they've traveled from different parts of the country, out of India as well, and they've said that we've just come to eat this. And you know, that makes it, you know, it's such a big deal for them. They've put in so much effort. There have been times that people have eaten something and matlab, आंसू आ जाते हैं लोगों को कि इतने they get so emotional. There have been times that people have come and told me that this reminded me of their grandmother who's no longer there. So there's a very food is emotional, and there'll always be an emotional connect with food, for a chef and for a customer when they're eating it. Like for example, if I eat jalebi and dahi, just a very simple thing as an example. I'll always remember my childhood in Allahabad with my grandparents, और सुबह सुबह गरम जलेबी उसके साथ दही हम खाते थे. So even when I traveled recently to Lucknow for some work and I saw it on the buffet counter, there was just a smile on my face. I took it in a bowl, I had it, I was just thinking about, हम छोटे होते थे and we used to have that with them. And I went to the chef and I told him. He just felt so good. So food has that nostalgic value. It transports you. जैसे Ratatouille में होता था Anton Ego के साथ, and he has that and he just transports back into his mother's home. So I think that's the greatness of food. Like it will totally transport.
I totally agree.
Yes.
And I think
what's your favorite dish now that we're on food? What do you like
favorite
eating?
dish? Desserts, yeah. I have a sweet tooth.
Okay.
Gulab
Jamun.
jamuns. I can have like 50 of them in one go if you want me to. But
that's a sugar rush.
That's a sugar.
That would be like you would be jumping around the office.
Just the taste of it. But yeah, gulab jamun's really good.
Okay.
And I really love my like yellow dal,
simple
roti,
khana,
bhurji, raita, like that. I can have that every single day.
Okay.
So
and you cook?
I can. But I don't.
You choose not to because you're like, there are so many better chefs. Why?
You have to test the product as well. Na? Zomato se bhi to order karna hai. So,
I saw a lot of Zomato packets outside. So I was like, बहुत लोग testing कर रहे हैं यहाँ पे.
No, we don't have a cafeteria or a setup to serve people their lunch. So we said, okay, if you like work here, you have to test your product every day.
Of course.
So karo order.
Makes sense. But you have your favorites.
I have my favorites. Okay. But they keep changing every 2-3 months because they actually overdo every time I like a particular place product.
That happens.
So I just have it 5 times in a week and
then you're done. It's saturation.
And then 4 weeks I can't even feel the taste anymore.
Yeah,
right? So people this becomes bland in 4 weeks.
That happens.
So that's my cycle. When in a month I'll just go at one thing one at a time.
That happens.
And then I struggle to find the next thing.
I can totally imagine. But I want to ask you some questions as well about Zomato, and I think it's a massive operation to run. I've seen the office today for the first time, so congratulations on that.
Thank you so much.
I don't think as restaurateurs and as chefs, हम इतने busy हो जाते हैं ना in our own kitchens, in our own restaurants, that we also forget that there's a massive operation running to support us. And I was, wondering that for restaurants, we had a very sensitive time, which was during COVID. We were really struggling as restaurants because ultimately when everyone's sitting at home, we needed someone to provide us food. We needed someone to keep the kitchens open, even though it was not safe. So there were a lot of ways that a lot of places came onto a delivery app. A lot of restaurants got shut down as well. So I just want to know from your perspective, because like I said that, chefs and restaurateurs are in their own world. And I'm sure you're very busy with yours, but would love to know that how is it that you, have supported these restaurants, or if there's anything that, you want to highlight that was done during COVID or after COVID, where restaurants have benefited maybe.
So COVID was a very interesting time, right? Because as a business, we are in the ordering business as well, and we're in the dining business as well. And the ordering business was only India and UAE.
Correct.
And we had dining business in 23 countries at that time when COVID hit.
Wow.
Okay, so we had our own people in so many countries who didn't have anything to do because dining out was shut everywhere. The food ordering business, it was actually different in India compared to everywhere else. Every other platform's orders were up.
Okay.
In the US, Europe, because people were not going out, so they were ordering food.
Right.
But in India, both of these things went down, first of all, like
Yeah.
first couple of months. And we lost 90-ish% of our order volume.
Wow.
So we were down to 7-8%
Wow.
actually. And the dining business was completely gone. We had so many riders to support, blah, blah, blah. So it was a mess.
Can imagine.
I mean, before COVID hit, we were going to fundraise. I mean, we had about maybe 9 months of money left in the bank, and we really needed a fundraise. And as soon as COVID hit, we had like 45 days of money left in the bank because costs went up, revenue went down, and it was just like, okay, this is like close to death. But anyway, we recovered from there, and food delivery became a little bit safe. Right. And I think we made a lot of effort to sort of make it safe. Right. I mean, we sanitized riders, giving them gloves,
lot of protocols.
lot of protocols. And it was not just the protocols at our end. We had to work with each and every single restaurant owner out there to make sure that those protocols were being followed. Right. Because the paranoia was so much that we couldn't just say that this is safe while it was not being safe.
Correct.
And if one such instance came up where we said it was safe and it was not safe, it would just completely crash everything. So we had to literally work with every single restaurant and make sure everybody has their masks on, everybody was sanitizing their hands, blah, 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 blah. And work with the government, local, police authorities to let Zomato riders be out there.
Okay.
Right? So, because it was banned earlier.
I know. There was no one was on the road.
You can't be on the road.
Correct.
So we had to work so much with the government. It
was a hard time, I think, for all businesses. But
delivery we got it okayish.
But especially for dine-in and restaurants.
It was...
who were only dependent on dine-in. They had to move to a delivery model, right?
There was a mix of had to versus we actually talking to them and telling them that dekho, we don't know how this is going to last.
Right.
Can you please do this?
Right.
Okay, kitchens तो चल रहे हैं आपके, ठीक है, dining बंद है, but at least start generating some revenue so that you can pay your
staff,
people. And because the demand was going up, and see, a lot of restaurant owners don't just run a restaurant business. They run some other business on the side as well. And if that was cash strapped, restaurants also got shut down. So we're demand is going up. We don't have enough kitchens supporting this.
Correct.
You will make some money. Please come. And
so you had to reach out to them as well.
Not just reach out, sit down with them and literally convince them. Because there was this whole thing earlier ki main nahi karta.
Delivery.
मैं तो dining करता हूँ.
But you know, delivery was always a very, if you look at it from a restaurant perspective, it was very prestigious. Ki, you're a dine-in place, so delivery is going to make your restaurant quality go down.
Correct. Yeah.
It's this
all
thing.
Food doesn't even travel.
That's true.
Correct.
Because I remember we created from our main menu, we created a little smaller delivery menu where we know the items that are going to travel well, they should be on a delivery menu.
Absolutely.
They, other than that. Yeah, and also packaging. I think that was a massive...
So you had to rework a lot of ways of thinking and a lot of ways how you did the business, how to cook food, how to package food, how much to heat food, how much... So there was a lot of rethink required, right? And there were a lot of people who were not willing to do that.
Okay.
They just said, no, मैं नहीं करने वाला हूँ.
Okay.
ये नहीं होगा मुझसे.
So restaurants really suffered because of that.
And I think I would say 50-70% of the restaurants that actually got shut down. I would not dare to say more, but I think it is more than 50 to 70% of the restaurants that got shut down were the ones who did not switch modes. Adaptation is actually necessary when things around you change. Right. Environment badal gayi, aap nahi badloge, something's going to hurt, right? So I think most of the restaurants which were able to adapt, they were fine. They actually did well. Okay.
Right.
And
no, because we also saw a lot of cloud kitchens, a lot of home kitchens come up at that time. Even today, you're seeing the rising number of home chefs who are doing their home kitchens.
Zorawar had only dine-in restaurants before COVID.
After that, he had all
After
delivery.
that, all delivery.
Right.
So I think there was a bit of learning mode for a lot of restaurant owners, and the people who could change the way of their thinking, they could survive and the others could not. And we tried with everybody, man. We tried with every single person, every single restaurant owner we knew, that please do this, please do this, please do this.
Right.
And it was not for the sake of us, like it was the sake of
From
survival,
surviving,
not just restaurant survival, our own customer demand, rider survival. Everybody needed to adapt at that moment, right? And some people did not, and then what happened.
Right.
And people were saying, okay, my rentals are too high, so and I'm going to have to shut down this place. We're like, okay, shut down this place, but you got the brand. Open a kitchen,
Cloud kitchen.
Cloud
yes.
kitchen. We got the next 2 years, 1 year, 6 months.
You can
We
just
don't
do
know.
it.
We don't know. Just do something. And but people were not willing to change.
Like I was telling you, it's a thing in some restaurateurs and some chefs' mind that delivery model will bring down the positioning of their brand. So that's why some of them created completely new cloud kitchens, which would cater to the delivery market, because they weren't sure in a fine dining setup कि वो delivery कैसे करेंगे. So I think that happened.
Some
Worked very
places
smart.
do really well. Right?
Yes.
Some places do really well. So it is all about context and how you actually
Right.
adapt your own reality to that particular context. And some people do it well, some people don't do it well. So it's a distribution curve in a way, right? So ye to chalega hi chalega. And that's what happened. So we drove a lot of that. And I think a lot of people attribute they actually survived COVID because of us.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they would not have. And so that's that.
That's great. That's
right. And
yeah.
I think overall the value of the platform that we've built is that like you need less money to get to a certain point in scale. Because if you have to hire your own riders, if you have to pay Google and Facebook and Instagram for all the marketing that you would do,
Correct.
you'd not get the ROI. You'd have to spend 3x, 4x the amount of money to get to a certain
I mean, it's a
revenue.
massive infrastructure in terms of an operation to run if you're doing your own delivery. And I think all of us as restaurateurs have thought about that. Ki what would the revenue look like, or what would our target sales have to be if we had our own set of riders? It's difficult, and I think that's why Zomato as an aggregator in between is very helpful, because you have a very solid network, and I think which you've been building over so many years.
And like our job is never done, right? So I mean there are issues and there are quality issues, there are quantity issues. Chalta hi rehta hai. I mean, and sometimes there is a festival and we're out of riders on the road, but customers are ordering more on festivals. हम क्या करें? Like there is almost sometimes we need a spike of 50,000 extra people on the road on that single day.
Wow.
How do we fix that? Like they're very
How
hard.
do you fix it? Tell me.
I mean, we get to about 10, 15, 20,000 extra. We're not able to get to cover that much gap.
So you're saying the demand on those days is massive.
New Year's Eve, right? So
yeah, and everyone wants to celebrate New Year's Eve as well.
Yes. If the kitchens had the throughput to be able to do it, and we had enough number of riders on the road, we'll do twice the number of orders that day.
2x.
But that would need about 250,000 extra people that day, just on Z.
But if you see that, like for example, you see the potential that New Year's Eve, now you have a whole year to kind of plan it out. But it's still impossible to get those number of people.
How can we start planning now and say, hey, listen, I need you for just that one day, 9 months down the line.
You can't.
That doesn't work, right? So we got this database of people, right? And who have worked with us, who have churned and so on and so on. We give them incentives to come
work on
with
that
us.
day. Yes.
New Year is not a day where we make any money. We lose so much money on New Year's Eve. Right, but because the volumes are high and we can't even increase prices for customers, we have to pay so much to the riders to just get that extra demand.
But I think that's for all festivals, because even when we work on festivals, हमें तो बताते हैं कि when you enter the hospitality industry, भूल जाओ, New Year's भूल जाओ, forget your birthdays, forget your anniversaries. So it's like already,
absolutely,
in our minds we already know that that's the day that the whole world is celebrating and we are working.
Yeah.
So
even at our end, we are working on weekends, New Year's, Christmas.
Because that's when you're busiest, right?
Yeah, and we have our screens. We're not out on the road, but we have our screens. We're just making sure every single detail is spot on. And the systems are so complex that things break. Okay, so and we're like real time we are trying to fix them.
Firefight, yeah,
firefighting.
absolutely.
And I mean the team has December is a sleepless month for the entire team. Like it's very very bad.
Okay.
And then the first week of Jan is, and I think 3rd to 10th Jan is pretty much the only downtime we get in a interview. Karte hue we would now tell everyone, because see, people who come work with us, they would have worked at some other tech company, some other consulting management, some other business, right? They don't, and they have their usual way of thinking that okay, December end is a chill time. Okay, but we interview level time पे हम ना उनको बताते हैं कि यार this is not going to be chill time.
Right.
There is a 50% drop off. People say okay, I don't want to do this.
Yeah,
hospitality is a tough one.
It is a
people
tough
think we are in tech, but
you're also in hospitality. I think you're balancing tech and hospitality both.
So we are both in a way, right? So and hospitality, we have to be up at night when you are up at night, because if something breaks, who will you call?
Yeah.
If we are sleeping. So
that's a good insight, actually. I don't think the restaurant industry realizes that there is also someone else with them side by side who's also not sleeping.
And we are watching everything, right? So sometimes the person who is handling your point of sale or the Zomato app where you actually receive orders, somebody can accidentally switch it off. No? There's an on-off button.
Right. I used to call up the kitchen and be like, "Ye off kaise ho gaya? You know, how did this happen?"
हम भी करते हैं call आपको.
It happens.
When somebody accidentally switch it off, we have to call. Sir, off क्यों किया हुआ है? Oh shit, गलती से हो गया.
That happens.
Right? So we have to watch out for everything that can happen wrong, even at your end, at rider's end, at our end. So I mean, at the end of the day, all of us are here to serve the customer.
Absolutely.
And we are all the same team, and
Absolutely.
but within the same team also.
Yeah, I think also because you know the idea is that restaurants and hotels and chefs, and they all consider themselves very small, and they think that you know Zomato is this big giant, and sometimes you would think that Zomato is the bad guy, you know, and I've heard some people say that ki haan, you know, they are making a lot of money, and then when you understand and you realize that okay, they are also working hard and they're also doing something which is at a massive scale, like in terms of operations. We handle one restaurant, we handle one kitchen, and we think there's so much happening. You guys are handling like multiple.
And for us, it's a sum of like so many small parts. There's no one large sitting there. We have to manage thousands of small little things.
Right.
I mean, sometimes millions. So that's the hard part that we do. There is no big picture here. We have to just add up everything and it becomes big, small. And small mistakes cost us so much, right?
Wow.
So because let's say
give us an example of like something that you had to solve on your level, but the restaurant never even knew about it. जैसे वो कहते हैं ना कि angels होते हैं जो आपको बचाते हैं.
So I mean, COVID was one, right? Even talking to the like government and trying to interface with so many state and district governments,
right? To allow.
वो कर ही नहीं सकता था कोई. Restaurant side of the team is not organized at a state district level, right? True. We're semi-organized at a like national level, but at a state district level we're not organized well.
Right.
So and agenda सबके अलग. So we have to like sort of say, okay, cool, we will get this done. So that's one of the big things.
And what about like, you know, like products, like for example, a cake or something, by the time it reaches you, I think that's one of the issues that we as chefs also face. Zomato rider has completely overturned the box and we are getting this Harry Potter looking cake where everything is all over the place. So like how because see the chef is like, I had put in so much effort, सब कुछ करा अच्छे से. Customers like, I have put in money. बीच में आ गया Zomato का rider.
Correct.
What do you do then?
These things hurt us as much as they hurt you. I mean, when the
but you know that's not going to solve the issue of the customer. The customer is going to be like,
customer issues is one thing. Like it hurts the like customer, it hurts us,
chef.
It hurts the chef, it hurts every single person. But see, our business, even if it is 7 years old, we have so far just handled issues of how do we scale. We've just like gotten to a point of how do we handle scale. Right. Even our tech, last year we had a zero orders lost due to downtime on tech. That was the first time we got there. So we just like,
I mean,
were
it takes
scrambling.
time.
We were
Yeah.
just scrambling to exist for now. Right now we're like, okay, basics are
In place.
seemingly. I mean, you know, I mean, the like moment you call them in place, they break.
Okay, so we
you
don't
have to
call
be,
them in
You have
place.
to be like paranoid about those things as well. And then now we are okay. Now how do we solve cakes? Hydraulic वो ला रहे हैं boxes, so that like if the rider tilts, the box still, the
Because
plate
the
still
Zomato
says-
guy wants to reach you as quickly as possible. वो तो अपनी bike चला रहा है, you know, in all sorts of angles.
और
The
वो
cake
भी
is
ना-
sliding, then it's sliding back, and by the
और वो
time
भी ना,
it reaches
when
you.
we talk to the riders, we're like, जल्दी है आपको? बोलता नहीं, तो आप ऐसे क्यों चला रहे हो? चलाते कैसे हैं? और so there's just like so much education required, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, they don't even
Now, I mean,
know.
you can't give them lessons on driving a bike. You can't reach that
that's
level.
how all of us, or most of us, grew up. किसने road rules पढ़े हैं?
Of course.
Education levels all
Of
come
course.
into play, right? So now there's that work being done. We are doing seminars, like trying to teach them how to follow road rules, like traffic rules and so on and so on. ऐसे नहीं कट मारते, ऐसे कट मारते हैं, ऐसे खड़े करते हैं, ब्रेक करो, धीरे से करो. So this is so much to do.
I don't think we realize that
And-
all of this is happening in the back end.
And that makes the entire system 0.5% better every week. Okay, and we track these numbers. We're getting better, right? But it will take 2 years to solve this.
Of
These
course,
are not
of
easy.
course, of
They're
course.
not easy, and there's so much.
These are
scale.
behavioral patterns.
Yes.
I mean, it's not like कि आज आपने बोला और कल हो गया. It can't happen like that.
और कोई भी नहीं करता ऐसा. मतलब 100% hit rate, no chance.
I mean, if you tell me also, I won't.
नहीं 100.
I'll be like, हाँ ठीक है, थोड़ा better कर लो, but
थोड़ा
not
better कर लो,
100%.
है ना? तो next time कुछ और train करोगे, कुछ और train करोगे. So this just all of this work just continues to go on. This never ends. And I don't think perfect is a state where this business can get to, as like
Right.
restaurants as well.
Right.
There will be faulty dishes.
But that's because
It's
you're
not-
always getting new entrants. Even in the
Yes.
kitchens, like your teams are constantly changing. You're getting new people. You're training new people. So you started training one person 2 years, and then that person might move on and be like, you know,
Even the best people have a bad day,
right?
right? So I mean, I could have not slept well last night, and then I will lose my temper on people
That's
today,
true.
right? So I mean, even the best people, experienced people, have a bad day. So error rate is a part of our life, right? Now our job is to reduce that error rate as much as we can and innovate solutions lane hain. One of our issues is ki large orders, how do we solve them? And maybe you have seen some large order vehicles on the road. Gurgaon mein there are about 45 of them already.
Okay.
So there's a
I don't think
Zomato
I'm the
large order
one
fleet.
ordering large orders.
No, you would see
Maybe
them
I
on the
need
road.
to-
There's huge
Okay.
3-wheeler kind of
So
vehicles.
what was the issue that you had to create these vehicles?
Let's say you ordered something worth 20 grand for a like
a party.
वो हमारे छोटे बॉक्स में तो आएगा नहीं. Then we'd have to send 4-5 people to your place. Then it would lead to like crowding of your place, and then you have to tally मेरे पास सारा सामान आ गया नहीं आया, right?
This way you get one order.
And then there are 5 different people coming at different times because everybody drives at their own speed.
Of course.
And then you have to check in all those people to your apartment differently, right? So it's a whole mess. So until now I used to send my driver कि यार ले आ please उठा के, right? So that needs to be solved.
Right.
And restaurants used to be like, अच्छा ये large order आ गया, इसमें ना negative review तो आता ही आता है, and that's not my fault.
But
Fair.
what was the reason for the negative issue?
कि negative review is okay, item missing, but
yeah.
item missing review.
I think item missing is one of your largest negative reviews. Is it?
One of our largest negative reviews is I didn't like the quality of food.
And what do you guys do about that?
We didn't make the food. I mean, I think maybe 30-40% of the customers out there don't really know.
What they're ordering?
Know that we don't make the food.
What?
Yes.
They think you have a team of chefs?
They think all the restaurants are Zomato restaurants.
Maybe that's the next idea then.
वो भी चलता रहता है. नहीं, we don't want to do restaurants. It's a very hard business to run. हम अपना काम कर लें, ठीक है बहुत.
No, but why don't you do your own kitchen, Zomato kitchen?
We don't
That'll
want
be
to
great.
compete with restaurants. Never.
Otherwise, they'll be like, why are we on your platform and you'll get,
I
all
think
the
it's
sales.
not ethical to do it. I mean, if we have built a platform
For
working
restaurants.
with you, right, then we've sort of leveraged your like presence to build this. We can't go back and say, "Acha, main bhi ye karunga." It's not ethical. Like,
So you've never thought of a food brand of Zomato?
Never. It's been like no
Zero.
chance. Like this is not something that would.
And if you had to, what would it be? Like, I'm not asking about the name or the product or just like what what dish would it be? Maybe it could be an idea for another restaurateur to
Honestly,
do.
if I had to, I would still not do it. I have so much respect for restaurant owners and chefs. I mean, it's one of the hardest businesses to run.
Maybe a mithai ki dukaan, since you love meat.
It will be hard this way or that way. So,
You can't compete with the big mithai giants anyway. So.
Pata nahi, but I think, I mean, see, a lot of people, like when they get out of college or they want to quit a job, they say, yaar, restaurant kholna hai mujhe.
They think that's easy.
And I was like, dude, that's the hardest business ever made. Like, so please don't think about it as ki acha khana hi to bana ke bhejna hai.
Yeah.
There's so much more to it. So,
I also feel a lot of people who come up to me and they're like, we are very passionate about, opening a restaurant. We have X number of money and we koi bhi concept khol do, bas restaurant chala do. I'm like, it doesn't happen like this, I mean, there is a certain science to running restaurants also. And if it's your first project, you're going to learn on the job every single day. Like if you're not from the restaurant business, for example, because I have a couple of friends of mine who have just started from scratch with no restaurant experience. They've had it the hard way. They've stuck on, but it's not been a cakewalk. It's very hard.
Very turbulent.
Yeah, like right from hiring to retention to food quality or space, landlords, issues, license. I mean, I can go on.
It's endless.
देख के पता चल जाता है that I'm frustrated dealing with these issues. But all restaurateurs deal with it. So
and I would say every single business needs a certain amount of blood, sweat, and tears to build.
Absolutely.
Restaurants take more blood, sweat, and tears to build a business, right?
Absolutely.
And so you have to be really passionate, and you have to have the energy every single day.
Yeah.
You can't take one day off, and you take one day off, things will fall.
I mean, people have been telling me after Soda Bottle, I was with them for 9 years, and they're like, अब हो गए 2-3 साल आपने कंसल्टेंसी कर लिया अब अपना खोल लो. Everyone, I just met someone randomly yesterday at a event, and when are you opening your own restaurant? I said, listen, I'll only open my own restaurant now after 10 years or 15 years when I am there every day. Because for me, it's that thing that if I open a business, whatever size it might be, I have to be there personally. If I'm not there personally, and especially with food, it makes a difference.
Absolutely.
I can train my team. I can open multiple outlets, which I did with, with the brand earlier. But I just feel, you have to give your 100% dedication. I cannot be doing different projects, kitab likh lo, do a lot of events like right now, which I'm currently doing. This way, right now, I can manage different roles. But if I have my own restaurant in my own space, I will want to walk in there, check every single thing every day to make sure it's a perfect experience for a guest coming in.
And that's the only way to build a restaurant which is great and stands the test of time. Like,
absolutely.
You can't outsource ownership.
Absolutely, absolutely. It comes through, your personality comes through.
Invest करके पैसा डाल के नहीं बनते हैं restaurants like so attention लगती है. It's a lot of care and love.
I agree.
And which is true for every single business, but more so for restaurants than anything else.
Yeah, so, I mean, quality check is extremely important. And the thing is, being present. Like, I know a lot of companies, a lot of people have work from home. Restaurant में आप work from home नहीं कर सकते हो.
हम भी नहीं कर सकते हैं by the way.
I mean, I know, but you're also part of the hospitality industry.
It's total chaos. It has to be ये करो. Instantly. It's real time, right? So it's not like अच्छा ये ना bug आ गया रात तक solve कर देना. No.
It has to be done
30 seconds right now. Yeah. We can't wait for calling someone, getting someone on the Zoom call and so on and so on.
Yeah.
For us, as soon as COVID was done, we were like everybody back home, back to the office. And some people know the world is moving to work from home, and they say, please move on with the world. But we are going to be back. We're going to be back to the office.
Have you seen the difference between work from home and just a question, maybe?
I think work from home lasted about 1.5-2 years for us. And we had the cultural depth to be able to handle that.
Okay.
But I mean, our team is very, very connected with each other. So we trust each other and we've worked with each other through highs and lows. So we could handle that.
Right.
But 2 years beyond, it was starting to dip.
Oh,
so
okay.
I was sort of panicking that this needs to
change.
And the kind of exchange of energy that you have when you're working, when you're face to face, is very, very different from when you're on a Zoom.
That's true.
Yeah, so I really needed people back in. Nahi to culturally we would have been dead.
Okay.
And culture is the one thing that drives us. Like without culture and without people wanting to do a great job, nobody will do a great job. And I am a strong believer of people only work as much as they want to.
That's
Like
true.
you can't force them to work more than what they want to.
That's true.
And they would then just show you that they're working harder, but they would not.
They'll find ways.
They'll find ways to show you.
Yeah.
Like upward manage like that I am working hard, but truly utna hi kaam ho raha hai jitna ho raha hai. So you have to make them want to.
So if you say
more.
like, I mean, because I have no idea, like what is the culture of Zomato? Like if you had to describe it to me, person who doesn't know, you know, like what would the culture be like?
We are a very self-managed organization. So there are no managers. There's nobody managing anyone.
Okay.
So there are no bosses.
So there's no hierarchy. It's flat.
No hierarchy. I mean, flat has so many meanings. People use flat in so many like different ways. One of the things is we don't even have goals. Like we have CEOs and team leads. They don't have goals for the next quarter. Like they don't have targets. They don't
like how we have KRAs.
हाँ कुछ नहीं. KRAs हैं, KPIs नहीं है.
Okay.
Right.
Got
So
it.
and KRAs are also something people choose for themselves.
Right.
And they're not like typical definitions of KRAs. KRAs are okay. I am good at this, so I can do this, and this. So that kind, and we don't have goals. We don't have targets. So it's like, acha, put in your best effort. So let's see where we land. And generally, we've landed well. And if
so, is it a prerequisite thing that you have to love food to be working at Zomato? Do you have to be a foodie?
No,
Okay.
that's not true.
It's not part of your
It's not part
HR
of
process.
it's not
Tell us
part
your
of our
favorite
HR
dish.
process. Because like while we are in the industry, like we have to be compassionate to other people's passion for food.
Right.
We don't have to be passionate for food
Correct.
on our own, right? So, I mean, we have to appreciate and value whenever somebody says, hey, I like love food. Our people should not say, really? Why? Ye nahi bola, right? So,
I mean,
they should get somebody's passion for food.
Of course.
They don't need to be passionate for
Of
food.
course.
They need to be passionate about service. Service is more of a motto for us than food.
Got it.
So that's our life. It's been quite a journey. But I think so far, right now, we're just qualified. We feel like ये अभी ना qualification to do a good job हुई है.
Right.
So we're just like, okay, अभी यहाँ तक पहुँच गए हैं, great, good job. Okay, but not even like good job, thank God. So now
I know.
let's do the real work.
I know, but I mean, I think as just you will underestimate and undervalue yourself. I think that's a very Indian thing to do. Jitta bhi kar lo, you know, you just feel like there's more to do. There's more, you know, to prove. There's more to see. Even in the kitchens, we'll say, you know, good job. We've managed our targets. We've managed break even. Even if we've not, chalo, theek hai. We'll manage everything. But I think to appreciate yourself that you're doing a good job is a big deal.
And good job is a like relative thing.
Right.
Because if I look at right now, there are, let's say, 20 things that are not up to the mark, right? And if I look back, I could have done something in the past at some point in time to not make these things happen. So the present could have been different and better, even if it is great right now, right? So, and critical thinking just like keeps us going, because complacent hona to is when the cycle of death starts.
Of course.
And
So what's happening at Zomato? What's new right now? What is it that restaurants and chefs can, you know, do something exciting with Zomato?
I think one of the biggest things that we need to change on the food ordering side is innovate on packaging and making sure that the food travels well, right? So, for example, half of the pizza places don't even put that plastic pizza stool. And I mean, and we have this constant effort where we're talking to every single brand owner, every single restaurant owner. Let's do this, let's do that. And it's endless. And then there is churn. Like there are 25% of the restaurants that are listed on Zomato would be from people who have entered the industry in the last 24 months.
Wow.
So complete freshers. And while they have passion, while they have
resources,
talent for food, resources as well. They don't know, I mean, the easy ones, the easy basics, like putting the pizza stool when there.
Yeah.
Right. So
I think, packaging is an integral part of Zomato, because ultimately you want your product to come to you in, the best way possible. But I have seen in the last couple of months at least that restaurants are really working on packaging. And there's a packaging cost also, which is, now attached. Because I remember at Soda Bottle, we created, when we were doing these thalis, we had created these boxes, which we were getting specially from a guy in Bangalore. And uske andar sab kuch aata tha, so that when it comes to your desk, you open it and you have everything there, including the cutlery. So you don't have to do anything. Correct. You don't have to even remove separate pieces of it. So, from a restaurant business owner or a chef, I can tell you that we in the back end, I don't know the percentage though, but we in the back end have really been working on our packaging to make it more sustainable, to reduce the number of, to reduce plastic, of course, using wooden spoons, wooden forks, even using sporks, which are like spoon and forks together, ki do cheeze na do aap.
Absolutely.
I love that option on the Zomato app, which is don't send cutlery, because when I'm at home, I'm like, don't send cutlery. Even though Indians ki वो होती है mentality की cutlery आने दो and we'll use it and we'll save it for a picnic. That has also been there. These are all facts.
We have about 40% orders which say
don't send cutlery.
So
yeah, because which is great. I mean, of course now you're on the go, तो आपको cutlery चाहिए. So it's not like you won't use it. But I think, there are these small initiatives which are happening from your end on the platform, which will make customer experiences better. And from our side as well, that, okay, how do we get our packaging to look better, even though it's costing us slightly more than like a normal plastic dabba? How do we change that?
But see, when you say it costs you more, it only costs you more today. Right?
Correct.
Because when you solve the packaging, your retention rate will go up by 20% in 5 weeks time.
You've seen that.
I've seen that.
As soon as the packaging gets better,
retention rate बढ़ जाता है. तो आपकी fixed cost तो उतनी ही है. Finally आप same margins पे land मार जाओगे.
So I think the biggest challenge with us is कि packaging को A sustainable कैसे बनाएं, B अगर sustainable बनता है तो leakage ना हो. क्योंकि most of the bhagas kind of packets which is used with the sugarcane pulp and all of that, उसमें कोई gravy item नहीं जा सकता because we've had leakage issues. So, now that I'm thinking of it, I remember we had done so many different meetings with so many package vendors. आहार गए थे ये देखने वो देखने. It's a full exercise, from a restaurant perspective to better your packaging, and it takes a long time because of the volume of the orders that you have to give. But I would say it's a very good point for a restaurateur if you want to increase your orders, like you said, 20% increase हो जाता है अगर आपकी packaging better हो जाती है. So it's something to think about, because
and this is short term versus long term thinking, right? आज मेरा 2% cost बढ़ रहा है, पर मेरा 20% volume बढ़ रहा है, तो in fact I'll make more margin 5 weeks down the line, correct? And customers will be happier, and 20% is only 5 weeks down the line. And just like compound it over a year or two, you're going to end up with a much larger business than what you are right now.
Right. And you do see like the delivery model only evolving and scaling up. Like
it's never gonna go anywhere anymore. It's just, delivery is still growing 30-40% year on year, and no other consumer internet or consumer brand is growing that much almost.
Yeah.
Delivery overall is growing faster than Domino's as well. Public numbers bol raha hu, right?
Course.
So delivery is something is growing really well, and customers want choice. Even Jubilant is now saying that Domino's is not the only flagship product. I have so many other things, because we have to cater to choice. And as long as we are giving enough choice to customers in a format which they want, it's going to continue working. And US में pizza boxes आते हैं तो paper plates भी आती हैं साथ में.
Okay.
So because they're like, Acha, we don't want the customers to go to their kitchen and grab a plate to have the pizza. Right. They should just be able to, because when do we order pizza? When we're already hanging out with friends at home, right? We just want easy food to eat. but then somebody needs to go fetch the plates.
It's
Correct.
usually that hyper person like me.
Yes.
I'll be like, हाँ मैं ले आती हूँ
Correct.
kitchen से.
So you don't need to break the flow. You just get
Right.
those boxes, you have the plates, you start, right? And I think
Mm-hmm.
those little things, nuances, we need to think of from a customer's point of view and then start solving it.
To
and
make
solving
the-
them at our end.
Yeah, just to make the customer service experience better.
Correct. And then customers will not even know that you did it for them. You're not going to get any review, but they're going to feel much better about the service that we give them, and that experience will lead them to order more.
Yeah, I mean, it's
They will
a
not
small
be able
thing.
to say why they are ordering more, right? So
Yeah.
because but they
It's
will
just
feel that.
convenience, I think. You know, it's just a small. It's like they say, right? Ki you just have to be a little thoughtful, and that's the space that you're coming from. That okay, if we're 5 people, we've ordered a pizza, we don't have plates. There's one option ki you're eating directly from the box. The second option is that someone will go and get it. Why do you want that to happen? If you give it, you open the box, you have the plates, and you can eat it.
Last week we started talking to pizza brands कि अच्छा अपना 1-1 रुपए की 2-2 रुपए की पेपर प्लेट मेन्यू में डालो,
Okay.
मतलब so that customers can order it if they want to. कम से कम
Okay.
यहाँ से start करो, because there was a lot of pushback on कि यार ये तो cost extra आ
Of
जाएगी.
course. I mean, every rupee will count, and especially in a delivery
Yeah.
model, right? They will say that.
I mean, but investments धीरे धीरे करते रहने चाहिए, right? So only then growth happens. If you don't,
You have to invest
हाँ,
back into your
invest
business.
back into the
ultimately.
business as well. You just can't be sitting on a constant profit margin and then saying, okay, that's cool. But then constant profit margin, percentage margin के साथ जो हम लोग obsess करते हैं, that needs to go.
Right.
We should think of the net number of dollars that I'm making in a month, rupees, dollars, right? And even if the margin is lower at twice the scale, that's cool. Margin is slightly lower. You're still making more money at twice the scale.
True.
That's better,
True.
right? So why does the margin need to continue to go up? Or
So what
margin
did
needs to-
what was their response? Are they planning to add it?
There's a whole range. Some people added
Saying
it for free. Some people saying you pay for it. Some people saying okay, I will charge for it. So it's
I mean,
a
as an
whole-
experiment, yes. I mean, you want to see how it kind of works for sure. I would love to know, like, what does it finally turn out into?
So it's just ki experimentation mindset and investment mindset needs to be all of us.
Correct.
But see, there are different kinds of restaurant owners here, right? So some people actually innovate. Some people come to us with ideas on these things, right? And then when somebody does it, success happens there, then everybody follows anyway.
True.
So it is a 2-year cycle, right?
True,
So,
true,
I mean,
true.
what's the point of like pushing it? It will happen on its own as well.
Great. I mean, it's always good to learn. I think we in our kitchens and restaurants just get in our own bubble. I'm sure you guys do that. But like you said, it's not just tech. We are not just tech. We're not just hospitality. We're a mix of both, which gives you a good position to be in because you get to work with us. I mean, restaurateurs or chefs से better तो कोई हो ही नहीं सकता. अच्छा खाना बनाते हैं, and we make sure
Absolutely.
that you have a good experience at the end of the day. So I always think it's important to look at it from another person's perspective. And I think that's helped me, think about how you guys function. Because I wouldn't be able to do your job and you can't do my job.
Correct.
But together we can create something.
Correct.
Which
Yes.
is what we're doing.
Yes, absolutely.
Yep.